be it the media or ownership, the data is in real time. So even like the questions that coaches are dealing with after the game are just so much more nuanced and detailed about why'd you kick the field goal? Because 62% of the time we'll score a touchdown. I think that just in terms of like the whole narrative and how coaches are being held accountable to their decisions, that whole discussion is different than it was even like 3 to 5 years ago.
But the goal is to get it right and win the game. And if you can just give the coach additional information to factor in his decision, I don't see how that's anything other than positive. Coach can ignore it. He can overrule it. He can go with it. He can think the circumstances in the moment make it irrelevant. He can do anything he wants. But how can it hurt to have the additional information?
So just looking at the numbers, there's some encouraging things and then some things that are discouraging. It's 1 week, so it's a small sample size. And if you look at just penalties, back to more of the historical average from 1975 to 2005, the historical average was right around 16 fouls per game. That's both teams. That's accepted, declined, offset. That's all in, roughly around 16 per game. So that's where we were for week one. And you can see significantly up from where we were last year. Last year was historically low, ended the season just around 13 fouls per game, which were historically low numbers. Haven't seen those since the early 70s. I just want to point out one thing that we do see here in terms of offensive holding. This is encouraging, historically low last year, really under officiated, and that can create problems. You'll see 18 in 2020 for week one and 53 for 2021, which is more in line with where it's been. 2019 was abnormally high. 2020 was abnormally low. And so hopefully at least through week one, we're in a good place, and we'll see how that continues. Officials are evaluated. They're evaluated on the calls that they make. They're evaluated on the calls that they don't make. And so of those 53 holding calls, if a large majority of those are graded correct, then the officials, that's positive reinforcement. They'll continue to throw the flags. If a majority of them are graded incorrect, then that's meant to decentivize throwing the flag in that area. You look at the numbers just through week one and how it's decreased. You couple that with defensive holding, the decline there. So really the pre-ball in the air fouls have decreased, and that has a dramatic effect on the receivers being able to run routes unmolested, being able to get into their breaks and things like that. And again, it hasn't negatively impacted the passing game in terms of yardage. We're passing at historically high rates, but it is something to be concerned, because if you allow that to go on, you end up with the play at the end of the Cowboys-Bucks game with the hand fighting, and is it a push off? And the more that we allow downfield, the more opportunity there is for that, and the more difficult decisions have to be made by the officials. Was that enough? Did he extend the arm? And now you get into that kind of debate.